Right now, at this very moment, someone with diabetes is standing in their kitchen, throwing away perfectly good strawberries. They read somewhere that fruit is basically sugar, and sugar is the enemy, so they have eliminated fruit from their life entirely. At the exact same moment, another person with diabetes is blending their third mango smoothie of the week, completely convinced they are making a healthy choice. After all, fruit is natural. Fruit is wholesome. Fruit cannot possibly be a problem. One of these people is denying themselves powerful nutrients their body desperately needs to fight the very complications diabetes causes over time. The other is flooding their bloodstream with sugar while feeling virtuous about it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Both of them are making serious mistakes. And the real tragedy is that neither one knows it. The information people receive about fruit and diabetes has become so contradictory, so confusing, and so emotionally charged that millions of people are making decisions based on fear instead of facts. Some are avoiding fruit that could genuinely help them. Others are consuming fruit in ways that are actively making their condition worse. Nobody seems to be giving them a clear, honest, practical answer. That changes today. I have spent years researching metabolic health, blood sugar regulation, and the specific ways different foods behave inside the human body. And I can tell you with confidence that the fruit confusion plaguing people with diabetes is not necessary. There are clear answers. There is real science, and once you understand it, you will never feel lost about fruit again. But before we go any further, I need to show you exactly how bad the confusion has become, because until you see the problem clearly, you will not fully appreciate why the solution matters so much. Think about the last time you tried to find information about fruit and diabetes. Maybe you asked a nutritionist. Maybe you searched online. Maybe you talked to a friend who also manages their blood sugar. What did you find? Some sources told you that fruit is essentially candy in disguise. Natural sugar is still sugar, they said. Your body does not care where the glucose comes from. Avoid fruit or suffer the consequences. Other sources told you the exact opposite. Fruit is natural, they insisted. It comes from the earth. It is packed with vitamins. Eat as much as you want, because natural sugar does not count the same way processed sugar does. And then there were the vague warnings. Tropical fruits are dangerous. Some fruits spike blood sugar. Certain fruits should be avoided, but which ones? How much is too much? What about berries versus bananas? What about fresh versus dried? What about juice versus whole fruit? Nobody gave you clear answers. They gave you fear. They gave you confusion. They gave you rules without explanations. And what happens when people receive confusing, contradictory information about something as important as their health? They give up. They either avoid everything out of fear or they ignore all the warnings because nothing makes sense anyway. Neither approach works. Neither approach serves your health. Neither approach gives you the control you deserve over your own body. So let me tell you exactly what this video is going to give you. First, I'm going to walk you through 10 specific fruits that can genuinely support blood sugar management. These are not fruits you simply tolerate. These are fruits that work with your body, not against it. They provide nutrients, fiber, and protective compounds while keeping your glucose response stable and manageable. I have ranked them from good to best, and the fruit at the very top of the list, the one I recommend most strongly, has benefits that extend far beyond its glycemic impact. I will explain exactly why when we get there. Then I am going to show you 5 fruits that require serious caution. These are not necessarily fruits you can never eat again, but they are fruits that demand respect. Consuming them carelessly, without understanding what they do inside your body, is setting yourself up for problems you will not see until your next blood test. And throughout this entire video, I'm going to explain the why behind everything, because I do not want you to memorize a list. I want you to understand the logic deeply enough that you can evaluate any fruit, even ones I have not mentioned, and make confident decisions for yourself. That is real knowledge. That is what changes health outcomes permanently. If you care about managing your blood sugar intelligently, subscribe to Wellness Secrets right now. This is exactly the kind of clear, practical health education we put out every week. And if you are watching from outside the United States, drop your country in the comments. I am genuinely curious where this information is reaching. Now, before we touch a single fruit, I need to arm you with two essential tools. Without these tools, any fruit list is just memorization. You might remember which fruits are safe and which are risky, but you will not understand why. And the moment you encounter a fruit not on the list, you'll be lost again. With these tools, everything changes. You will understand the underlying logic, you will see the patterns, and you will be able to apply this knowledge to any fruit, any meal, any food decision for the rest of your life. The first tool is called the glycemic index, often abbreviated as G. Think of the glycemic index as a measure of speed. Specifically, it measures how fast the sugar from a particular food enters your bloodstream after you eat it. The scale runs from 0 to 100. The higher the number, the faster the sugar hits your blood. Here's why speed matters so much for people managing diabetes. When sugar enters your bloodstream slowly, your body has time to respond appropriately. Your pancreas releases insulin at a measured pace. Your cells absorb glucose steadily. Your blood sugar rises gently and falls gently. No emergency, no crisis, no roller coaster. But when sugar enters your bloodstream rapidly, everything changes. Your blood glucose spikes sharply. Your pancreas scrambles to produce enough insulin to handle the sudden flood. Your body goes into reactive mode, trying to manage a crisis it was not prepared for. Over time, these repeated spikes create real damage. They stress your pancreas. They contribute to insulin resistance. They increase inflammation. They accelerate the very complications that make diabetes dangerous in the first place. So, when we talk about glycemic index, we're really talking about how much stress a particular food places on your blood sugar regulation system. A GI above 70 is considered high. Foods in this range dump sugar into your blood rapidly. They create spikes. They demand immediate response from your body. A GI between 56 and 69 is considered moderate. These foods move faster than ideal, but are not in the danger zone. A GI below 55 is considered low. These foods release sugar slowly and steadily. They give your body time to respond. They are what we want. For people managing blood sugar, low GI foods are the foundation of a stable, manageable diet. This is the first part of the equation. But here is where most people stop, and here is where they make a critical mistake. Glycemic index tells you about speed. It does not tell you about quantity, and quantity matters enormously. This is where the second tool comes in. It is called glycemic load, abbreviated as GL. If glycemic index is about how fast sugar arrives, glycemic load is about how much sugar actually shows up. Let me explain why this distinction is so important. Imagine two delivery trucks pulling up to your house. The first truck is moving incredibly fast, speeding down your street at dangerous velocity. But when it arrives, it only has one small package to deliver. The arrival is dramatic, but the actual cargo is minimal. The second truck is moving at a moderate pace, nothing alarming. But when it arrives, it is carrying 50 heavy boxes that all need to be unloaded and processed. Which truck creates more work for you? The fast one with almost nothing inside, or the moderate one overflowing with cargo? This is the difference between GI and GL, speed versus volume. Both matter, but if you only pay attention to speed, you miss half the picture. Glycemic load takes into account both the glycemic index of a food and the actual amount of carbohydrates in a realistic serving. It tells you the total glucose impact you can expect when you sit down and eat a normal portion. A GL under 10 is considered low. These foods have minimal impact on your blood sugar, even in normal serving sizes. A GL between 11 and 19 is considered moderate. These foods require some attention, but are not immediate threats. A GL above 20 is considered high. These foods deliver a substantial glucose load that your body must work hard to process. And here is the rule I want you to carry with you from this moment forward. When choosing fruit for blood sugar management, you want both low GI and low GL. One number alone does not tell the full story. A fruit with low GI but high GL will still challenge your blood sugar because of sheer volume. A fruit with low GL but high GI will hit your system hard, even if the total quantity is small. The safest fruits, the ones that truly support blood sugar management, score well on both measures. They release sugar slowly, and they do not contain excessive amounts of sugar in the first place. This is the framework. This is how we evaluate every fruit that follows. One more thing before we dive into the list itself. I'm going to hold every fruit to the same standard, a serving size of approximately 4 ounces, or 120 grams. This keeps our comparisons fair and realistic. I am not going to make one fruit look safe by using a tiny portion and another fruit look dangerous by using an enormous portion. Same serving size across the board. Real numbers for real eating. Now, let us build your safe fruit foundation. We are starting at number 10 and working our way up to the fruit I recommend most highly. The last one on this list has benefits that genuinely surprised me when I first encountered the research. Number 10 on the list of blood sugar-friendly fruits is grapefruit. Grapefruit has a glycemic index of just 25 and a glycemic load of approximately 3. Those numbers are exceptional by almost any standard. This is a fruit that releases sugar slowly and contains relatively little sugar in a normal serving. But grapefruit earns its place on this list for reasons that extend beyond the glycemic profile. Research has identified a compound in grapefruit called naringenin. This flavonoid has shown promising effects on insulin sensitivity in multiple studies. What this means in practical terms is that grapefruit may actually help your cells respond more effectively to insulin over time. For someone managing type 2 diabetes, where insulin resistance is often the core problem, a fruit that potentially improves insulin sensitivity while also keeping blood sugar stable is doing double duty. However, I must give you a critical warning here. Grapefruit interacts with a significant number of medications. It affects how your liver processes certain drugs, including some cholesterol medications, blood pressure medications, and others. If you are taking any prescription medication, especially statins or calcium channel blockers, you must speak with your pharmacist or doctor before adding grapefruit to your regular diet. This is not a small concern. The interaction can cause medications to build up to dangerous levels in your bloodstream. Do not skip this step. But if you've confirmed that grapefruit is safe with your current medications, it belongs in your rotation. Half a grapefruit at breakfast, grapefruit segments in a salad, or even just fresh grapefruit as a snack. The glycemic impact is minimal, and the potential benefits are real. Number 9 on the list is blackberries. Blackberries have a glycemic index of 32 and a glycemic load of approximately 4. Again, these are strong numbers that place blackberries firmly in the safe zone for blood sugar management. But the real story with blackberries is fiber. 1 cup of blackberries contains approximately 8 grams of fiber. That is an extraordinary amount for any fruit and significantly higher than most other options you might consider. Why does fiber matter so much for blood sugar? Fiber acts as a physical barrier in your digestive system. It slows down the breakdown and absorption of sugars. When you eat a food high in fiber, the sugar that food contains does not rush into your bloodstream all at once. It seeps in gradually, over time, exactly the way we want it to. Think of fiber as a natural brake system. It prevents the rapid spikes that cause problems for people managing diabetes. And blackberries come with that brake system already built in. There is another benefit worth mentioning. Fiber feeds beneficial bacteria in your gut. Emerging research continues to reveal connections between gut health and blood sugar regulation. A healthy gut microbiome appears to support more stable glucose levels and better metabolic function. Overall, when you eat blackberries, you're getting the fruit sugar alongside the very compound that protects you from that sugar. You are also feeding the microscopic allies that help regulate your entire metabolism. This is what intelligent fruit selection looks like. Fresh or frozen, blackberries work equally well. Frozen blackberries are often more affordable and available year-round. They retain their fiber and nutritional value. Add them to unsweetened yogurt. Eat them as a standalone snack, or include them in a morning meal alongside protein. The next fruit on this list shares some characteristics with blackberries, but offers unique benefits that make it particularly valuable for people concerned about metabolic health. What researchers discovered about this fruit and its effect on a specific hormone may change how you think about berries entirely. Number 8 on the list is raspberries. Raspberries have a glycemic index of 32 and a glycemic load of just 3. These numbers place them among the safest fruits you can possibly eat for blood sugar management. But I want to highlight something about raspberries that sets them apart from other berries. Raspberries contain compounds called raspberry ketones. You may have heard this term in the context of weight loss supplements, where it has been somewhat overhyped. But the actual science behind raspberry ketones points to something genuinely interesting for people managing blood sugar. Research suggests that raspberry ketones may influence levels of a hormone called adiponectin. This hormone plays a direct role in regulating blood sugar and breaking down fatty acids for energy. People with higher adiponectin levels tend to have better insulin sensitivity. People with lower levels tend to struggle more with glucose regulation. Now, I want to be careful here. The research is still developing. I am not claiming that eating raspberries will cure insulin resistance or replace medical treatment, but when a fruit combines an extremely low glycemic load with compounds that may support the exact metabolic processes you are trying to optimize, it deserves serious attention. What we do know with certainty is that raspberries deliver minimal sugar impact while providing substantial fiber, vitamin C, and antioxidant compounds. Even without the potential adiponectin benefits, raspberries earn their place on this list through their exceptional glycemic profile alone. Fresh raspberries are delicious, but spoil quickly. Frozen raspberries retain their nutritional value and are often more practical for regular consumption. A handful added to cottage cheese or Greek yogurt creates a satisfying, blood sugar-stable snack that requires almost no preparation. Number 7 on the list is fresh apricots. I am emphasizing the word fresh deliberately, and I will explain exactly why in a moment. Fresh apricots have a glycemic index of 34 and a glycemic load of approximately 4. These numbers are excellent. A fresh apricot is a genuinely safe choice for someone managing blood sugar. Apricots are rich in beta-carotene, the compound that gives them their distinctive orange color. Your body converts beta-carotene into vitamin A, which plays critical roles in maintaining the health of your eyes, kidneys, and skin. Why does this matter specifically for people with diabetes? Because those 3 organs, your eyes, your kidneys, and your skin, are exactly the organs most vulnerable to long-term diabetes complications. Diabetic retinopathy affects vision. Diabetic nephropathy affects kidney function. Diabetic dermopathy affects skin integrity. These are not abstract risks. They are documented consequences that develop over years when blood sugar is not well managed. Eating fresh apricots is not just about avoiding a glucose spike today. It is about providing your body with nutrients that support the very systems. Diabetes tends to damage over time. This is strategic eating. This is thinking beyond the immediate moment. But here is where I need to give you a serious warning. Fresh apricots are safe. Dried apricots are a completely different story. When you dry an apricot, you remove the water. That sounds simple enough. But water is precisely what dilutes the sugar in fresh fruit. Remove the water, and all that sugar becomes concentrated into a tiny, dense package. Small handful of dried apricots can contain the same amount of sugar as multiple fresh apricots. The glycemic load shoots up dramatically. What was a safe choice becomes a risky one purely through processing. I will talk more about dried fruit as a category later in this video because it deserves its own detailed warning. For now, remember this: fresh apricots belong on your safe list. Dried apricots do not. They are essentially different foods, despite sharing a name. Number 6 on the list is whole oranges, and I need you to pay very close attention here, because what I am about to explain has more practical impact on daily blood sugar management than almost anything else in this video. A whole orange, eaten with all its segments intact, has a glycemic index of approximately 40 and a glycemic load of around 5. These are safe numbers. A whole orange is a nutritious, beneficial food for someone managing diabetes. But here is where millions of people make a mistake they do not even recognize. Drinking orange juice is not the same as eating an orange. They are not equivalent. They are not interchangeable. In terms of what happens inside your body, they are almost opposite experiences. Let me walk you through exactly what happens. When you eat a whole orange, You are consuming the fruit along with all its fiber. That fiber physically slows down digestion. The sugar from the orange enters your bloodstream gradually over an extended period. Your body has time to respond appropriately. But when you drink orange juice, the fiber is gone. It was removed during the juicing process, left behind in the pulp that gets discarded. What remains is essentially sugar water with some vitamins. Now think about portion size. When you pour yourself a glass of orange juice, how many oranges does that glass represent? 2, 3, maybe 4. If it is a large glass, ask yourself honestly, would you ever sit down and eat 4 whole oranges in one sitting? Almost certainly not. You would eat 1, maybe 2, feel satisfied, and stop. But in juice form, those 4 oranges disappear in under a minute. You barely register that you have consumed them. The sugar from all 4 oranges hits your bloodstream in a concentrated wave because there is no fiber to slow anything down. The glycemic load of that single glass easily exceeds 20, putting it firmly in the high-risk zone. This is one of those situations where a habit that feels healthy is quietly working against you. Fresh squeezed orange juice, organic orange juice, no sugar-added orange juice. It does not matter. The problem is not what was added. The problem is what was removed. The fiber was removed, and the fiber is the protection. This same principle applies to all fruit juice, not just orange juice, apple juice, grape juice, pineapple juice, mango juice. They all concentrate sugar and remove fiber. They all create glucose spikes that whole fruit does not create. Eat your oranges. Do not drink them. This single change can make a meaningful difference in your daily blood sugar patterns. If this information is opening your eyes to things you did not know before, take a moment to hit the like button. It helps more people find this video who genuinely need it. And if you have been drinking fruit juice thinking it was a healthy choice, you are not alone. Leave a comment and let me know. I read every single one. Number 5 on the list is pears. Pears have a glycemic index of 38 and a glycemic load of approximately 4. Strong numbers that place pears comfortably in the safe zone. But here's what I want you to understand about pears specifically. The fiber in a pear is not evenly distributed throughout the fruit. A significant portion of that protective fiber is concentrated just beneath the skin. If you peel your pears before eating them, you are peeling away a substantial amount of your protection. You are removing the very compound that slows sugar absorption and keeps your blood glucose stable. Eat your pears whole, skin on, wash them thoroughly, but do not peel them. The texture of pear skin is generally mild and easy to eat. Unlike some fruits where the skin might be tough or bitter, pear skin integrates smoothly with the flesh. There's no practical reason to remove it and a significant health reason to keep it. This principle applies to many fruits. The skin often contains concentrated fiber and beneficial plant compounds. Peeling removes protection. When you can reasonably eat the skin, you should. Pears also offer a secondary benefit worth mentioning. They contain a type of fiber called pectin, which research suggests may help reduce LDL cholesterol levels. For people with diabetes, who already face elevated cardiovascular risk, a fruit that supports both blood sugar management and cholesterol levels is particularly valuable. Number 4 on the list is green apples. I am specifying green apples deliberately, and the distinction matters. Green apples, such as Granny Smith, have a glycemic index of approximately 38 and a glycemic load of around 5. These numbers are slightly better than what you find in sweeter red or yellow apple varieties. The reason is straightforward. Green apples tend to be lower in sugar and higher in fiber than their red counterparts. The tartness you taste is a reflection of that reduced sugar content. Like pears, apples contain pectin fiber, which offers that dual benefit of slowing sugar absorption while also supporting healthy cholesterol levels. Cardiovascular disease remains the leading cause of death among people with type 2 diabetes. Any food that simultaneously supports blood sugar management and heart health deserves serious attention. But there is another dimension to apples that most people never consider. The fiber in apples, particularly the pectin, serves as food for beneficial bacteria in your gut. This is called prebiotic fiber. It feeds the microscopic organisms that live in your digestive system and perform essential metabolic functions. Emerging research continues to reveal connections between gut health and blood sugar regulation. Studies suggest that people with healthier, more diverse gut microbiomes tend to have better insulin sensitivity and more stable glucose levels. The relationship is complex and still being studied, but the direction is clear. When you eat a green apple with its skin intact, you are feeding yourself, and you are feeding the trillions of bacterial allies that help regulate your metabolism. That is efficiency. That is strategic eating. One green apple per day, eaten whole with the skin, is an easy addition to any blood sugar management routine. The crunch is satisfying. The tartness works well alongside protein sources like cheese or nut butter, and the glycemic impact is minimal. We have now covered 7 fruits that belong in your regular rotation: grapefruit, blackberries, raspberries, fresh apricots, whole oranges, pears, and green apples. Each of these offers genuine benefits while keeping your blood sugar stable and manageable. But the 3 fruits remaining on this list represent something more. They're not just safe choices. They are powerful tools that can actively support your metabolic health in ways that extend far beyond their glycemic profiles. The next fruit has one of the lowest glycemic loads of any food ever measured. Its impact on blood sugar is so minimal that it barely registers. But what makes it truly remarkable is what it does for insulin sensitivity over time. For people with type 2 diabetes, where insulin resistance is the core problem, this fruit may be one of the most valuable additions you can make to your diet. And the fruit at the very top of this list, the one I recommend most highly, contains compounds that address blood sugar through multiple pathways simultaneously. It reduces inflammation, it supports sleep, and it has the best glycemic numbers of almost any fruit studied. When you see the research, you will understand why I believe every person managing diabetes should have this fruit in their kitchen weekly. That is what we are building toward. The foundation is laid, the good choices are clear, but what comes next elevates everything. Before we continue, I want to remind you to subscribe to Wellness Secrets if you have not already. The information in this video is just the beginning. We release detailed, practical health education every week, always focused on giving you clear answers to confusing health questions. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss what comes next.